Xbox Game Pass is probably one of the most interesting ideas to come out of Microsoft since Games with Gold started in 2013. Game Pass started in 2017 and boasted tons of games to play with your subscription. When it was announced, they dropped that even new big budget games would be available with Game Pass, including Sea of Thieves, Crackdown 3, State of Decay 2, and Forza Horizon 4 as soon as they launched. Game Pass sounded amazing. I think most people take for granted exactly how much this changed the console buying scene. And I already know that most PlayStation fanboys in the comment section are going to be kind of, about me insinuating Microsoft changed the game somehow with introducing Game Pass, but hear me out. A family, whenever I was a kid looking for a new console, would buy it, get the bundle, and it would come with one, maybe two games if you're lucky. Honestly, now you can walk in, buy an Xbox, pay $15 a month, and get access to hundreds of games plus an online subscription to play with your friends. And honestly, I think that makes it a really easy choice for casual people just looking to buy a new console. The point of giving this background is the rest of this series is going to be covering different Game Pass games I come across that I think maybe most people might have looked over or just given one glance and said, fuck it, that's probably not worth my time. And here, I'm going to be talking a little bit about the games that I think are worth your time, whether you have Game Pass or not. Today's topic is something I've been completely sucked into, and without further bullshitting, let's go play Pokemon on Xbox. Monster Sanctuary is a 3v3 turn-based RPG with a Metroidvania overworld and completely done in a pixel art style. Developed by Moirai Games and published by Team 17, it was released on Switch, PS4, PC, and more importantly for this video, Xbox One. Monster Sanctuary has 101 monsters to fight and hatch, all with unique skill trees with active abilities, passives, and one ultimate ability unlocked at level 40, the game's current level cap. If this sounds fun, I suggest you play the game before going any further if you don't want any kind of spoilers about late game monsters or abilities. I won't be covering the story today, but I will be showing off some of the late game monsters. When you begin the game, you get to choose either a male or female character model, which you'll be seeing gameplay of the male model for early gameplay and then the female for late game footage, as I started the game with a female and just started a new game as a male. You get to choose from four spectral familiars. This is essentially your Pokemon starter: the spectral wolf, eagle, toad, and the lion, each with their own playstyle and skill trees. For my original playthrough, I chose the toad as it was the tankiest, and for the second one, I chose the wolf as I liked the design of it. You were introduced to your rivals, for a lack of a better term: Will of the Heket bloodline, which by default will have the toad; Julia of the Tazi bloodline, who by default has the eagle; and Leonard of the Dickhead bloodline, who by default has the lion to overcompensate. And with that, you're thrown rather quickly into the game and given a tutorial on how to gain more monsters right off the bat, along with a tutorial on how the battles operate. You're in a 2D Metroidvania style before running into a monster on the overworld, and then the game shifts into a turn-based battle. I found I found I found I found I found. I found the flow of exploration and battling really nice as it broke up the game very well. After beating the terrifying blob that stands in your way, you steal its egg from its corpse. Or at least I assume that's what's happening here. You go into the menu and crack that egg open, find that it has its own living slime. Hatching, rather than catching, actually makes the game less of a level grind and more of an egg grind as it goes on. The eggs are random drops from their respective monsters and hatch at your level in the beginning of the game, and then hatch two levels below your highest level monster later on, making them relatively easy to slot into your party at any time. You can even hold early monster eggs until later and hatch them at a higher level for whenever you want that specific monster within your team. Overall, I really enjoy the hatching system, and I'm surprised that Pokemon hasn't implemented something similar with its breeding mechanics. With two monsters in your party, you now have better access to the combo system. Each move has a damage and the amount of times the move hits or heals something. The higher the amount of hits in a turn, up the damage for the next monster, encouraging you to have multi-hitting or buffing moves earlier in the turn for higher damage numbers later. This makes the flow of battle a little bit more thought-provoking than something like Pokemon, where you're usually just exploiting a weakness, unless you're nuzlocking or playing a little bit more competitively. After each battle, you're given a star rating based on how well you did during the battle. Higher stars means higher rewards. This encourages you to make effective builds and play well for every fight rather than just mindlessly going through the game. Past the beginning area, you can explore and realize the monsters have overworld abilities such as destroying hidden walls or flying temporarily. These abilities are what drives the exploration and Metroidvania style of gameplay, and it works pretty well. For the beginning, you can kind of see things that you can't jump up to until later on in the game. Experimenting with these abilities kind of drives the way that you go about the game. You start to notice little patterns on how you can break different walls, and some things you just don't understand how to pass until you finally get a monster and realize that its overworld ability works a certain way, which kind of leads you to want to get every monster and see what their overworld ability ends up being. At a certain point in time, you'll find the central hub, the Keeper's Stronghold, where you can buy items and food, and then you can also go to the blacksmith and upgrade monster equipment. Each monster can have one weapon and three pieces of equipment to bolster their stats. Some unique pieces of equipment that are hidden in different explorable areas will have different passives, such as giving you a better healing or adding an extra hit on the end of your attack. The main reason I found myself falling in love with this game was the way that the skill trees work and the amount of synergies with them. If you're a nerd like me and like watching your damage numbers go up, then you'll be pleasantly surprised to find the variety of skills and abilities to synergize with your other monsters, making team building a joy. Currently, there isn't a whole lot of coverage of this game on YouTube, so building teams around other people's teams is kind of difficult. However, I'll leave a link in the description with a video that helped me build teams. With 22 different status effects that include buffs and debuffs, there's plenty of variety about building around specifically buffing, shielding, poisoning, weakening, burning, bleeding. I think you get the point. No monster in this game is completely useless, which is quite a big deal to me, because it means even the early game blob can fill a specific niche if it has the skills you want. You'll encounter champion monsters throughout the game, which are basically boss monsters that can move multiple times in a turn. If you 5-star these battles, you'll get the egg for them guaranteed. If you don't 5-star immediately, you don't have to worry though, because in the Keeper Stronghold there is a tower that will give you access to refight these monsters and try again, allowing you to build specifically to take down these monsters' challenges. Speaking of the tower, this is also where you access Keeper Duels, another great tool for you even if you don't realize it immediately. You can go here to fight predetermined teams based on the rank you choose with set levels, making it an efficient way to grind your monsters up to snuff. Other things in the tower include PvP online mode, where you can play against other people and see if you're actually good at the game. I didn't really play PvP as there isn't a way to play with your friends. It's kind of a shame that it's relegated to fucking matchmaking only, but honestly, no game is going to be perfect, especially whenever it's an indie game with less staff than, say, something like Digimon. Anyway, the other thing you'll be able to tackle is the Infinity Arena, probably the coolest idea implemented in the game. If you're looking for a challenge, the Infinity Arena is going to put you through the ringer. You go into a battle with both teams getting the Infinity status, which makes monsters hit harder every turn. As you win, you're ranked like normal out of 5 stars. However, whenever you win, it doesn't just end there. It goes, as the name should probably imply, indefinitely. The better you did in this battle will determine how high the levels are going to be increased for the opposing team. Your max level ends up being at 40, but these monsters are not capped at that. As you go on, the enemy monsters will just keep rising in level. This means that you'll have a great challenge for anyone looking for it, along with great rewards whenever you do finally fail, giving rewards boxes which can give you anywhere from monster eggs to shift stones. Shifting is the last core element about the game and is unlocked about halfway through. Once you get to that point, you'll encounter shifted monsters randomly which have different color palettes and boosted stats and unique passives. You can either light or dark shift a monster, giving different effects from making stacks of bleed, which would normally cause damage and then take half of the bleed stacks away and make those never decay, or only take less damage. It just kind of depends. Shifting also provides a little bit of personality to your monsters, not unlike shiny Pokemon, but it's really more akin to something like Dragon Quest or other early RPGs, where the basic slime enemy would be blue in the beginning and then go all the way to metal slimes, which were much more formidable. While Monster Sanctuary may not look like much whenever you just kind of stare at it, it actually ends up being more than just a stupid little Pokemon clone. And for this series, I'm going to rate things with my own little stupid, I don't know, rating system. I guess I'm IGN now. We'll have trash at the bottom, then bronze, silver, gold, and platinum. While there are random difficulty spikes in the game, and not being able to trade and battle with your friends kind of sucks, the game makes up for it considerably with the sheer amount of build possibilities and plenty to do even after the credits roll. Monster Sanctuary gets a solid gold from me. If you have Game Pass or just the spare money to get it on a different platform, you should give this game a whirl. I can promise you, if any of this sounded good, you will get much more out of this game than you would expect on a first glance. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, it's a 7 out of 10. Too much water.